Good morning. I'm Leema Pasha. I help executives, public service leaders, and attorneys stop stress and beat burnout. I am the executive coach to call when you want to go from drained to reclaimed. I'm so excited today because I'm bringing you this podcast to help you with your wellness as well as building community. I have the esteemed Dr. Janelle Green with me today. Janelle is a foot doctor and she helps patients with uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. We're going to talk today about mind, body, and soul wellness. And I'll let Janelle tell you a little bit more about her practice and how she is really shaping the health and wellness of her client.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. As Leema mentioned, I'm Dr. Janelle Green. I'm a podiatrist, whole foods, plant-based nutrition coach. My goal is to help my patients as well as other individuals that are suffering from painful, uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, painful neuropathy, who really want to preserve their limbs and are concerned about limb loss. I coach them through the process. I treat their feet and help them save their limbs. And when I started podiatry, I really had the goal of just going in and treating their feet. And through my career and education and life experiences, I've learned that nutrition is one of the primary ways to do that. So I'm just excited about what I do. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So, Janelle, I want to ask you a little bit more about what excites you today. What brings you joy?
Hmm. Well, being here, being alive, just to make it simple, I really enjoy working with people to help them realize their best selves. As look at it from a podiatric standpoint, I'm really excited about nutrition because when I started out in this career as a podiatrist, I started because I had a family member that lost her life because she didn't want to lose a limb. And so, as a young podiatrist, I was like, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to show people that, you can lose a toe or even your leg and still have a healthy, productive life. And I did that. But through, like I said, through my experience and through time, it's taught me that nutrition is the primary way to do that. Lifestyle changes, decreasing stress in your life, mindfulness, meditation, best practices in eating and exercise. So all these things contribute. And I'm just really, that makes me excited. I also love my family and children, and I'm an outdoors type of person. So anytime I can get out and walk and experience the world around me is a good time. And that's what makes me excited.
Yes. What was your early childhood vision about your life and what inspired you? I'm glad you share that about a family member, but maybe you want to tell another story or expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off with my childhood experience. I was fortunate to have two of my older sisters that were nurses and some other family members that were involved in healthcare from, cleaning hospitals or doing maintenance. And so that's kind of been in my blood. And so from 5 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I had people in my ecosystem that exposed me to some of the greats, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, and great surgeons like Ben Carson. And I got a chance to read their books and read their stories, and I was inspired. And so I always wanted to be a doctor. And then I eventually, as my career progressed, got information about podiatry, and it provided me with an opportunity to work within my community. There were a lot of African American people suffering from type 2 diabetes. I could be a surgeon and work in the clinic. And so that's kind of how it progressed. But I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to help people. It's something that drove me from an early age. And the second part to your question was, remind me.
It was more along the lines of what inspired you to become a
Okay.
doctor.
Yeah, so I mean, so those are things I loved playing. What was the game where you would have to get the little body parts out of the body and it would buzz. You know, I love working with my hands.
Operation or something
Operation,
like that?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I love playing Operation. I love working with my hands. And podiatry provided me with the opportunity to be a physician, help people work with my hands, both in clinic and in surgery, and do both and provide a service
Yeah.
to people. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and then my patients, I see both my patients, people in my community suffering, and that motivates me and encourages me even more.
Yes. So, what would you tell your 9-year-old self today? It sounds like you followed your vision, but what would you tell your 9-year-old self today?
Play more. I would say play more. I played a lot. I had a lot of fun as a kid. I loved to jump rope. Keep jumping rope. Play. Um, at 9, I didn't have too many stresses. I'm thankful. So I would just say, 9-year-old self, play with your Barbies, play with your toys, have as much fun as possible, and listen to your parents.
Yes. Yes. You treat patients with uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. I've seen that 11% of the population has type 2 diabetes and 35% are pre diabetic. Briefly describe how people who are pre diabetic might be able to prevent themselves from getting full blown diabetes or even uncontrolled diabetes.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so happy that you bring that up, because one thing that I do want to say first is a lot of times people with pre-diabetes don't think it's that serious. And according to the CDC, 67% of the people with pre-diabetes will go on to develop type 2 diabetes if they don't make radical lifestyle changes. Diabetes falls along the lines of a lifestyle disease. Some heart diseases are also lifestyle diseases. And so that means how you live your life will result in whether you get the disease or don't get the disease. A lot of times people will say, oh, well, my mother had it, my sister had it, my grandparents had it, and it's in my DNA. Our DNA is only really responsible for about 10% of what shows up in our lives. We have really 90% control. If you've ever heard anybody say life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it, the same thing applies to your health. And so if you think about it, how I've described it before and how some others have described it is you have this big book of recipes. That if you think of your DNA as a big book of recipes, and you can flip it open and decide to cook whatever you want. You can cook the worst meal or you can cook the best meal, in terms of what your life and your health status will show. And so the opportunity is available to us. So for someone who has a history of type 2 diabetes within their family, or they might be pre-diabetic themselves, or just really, want to prevent diabetes, some of the things that I would recommend are working on your lifestyle. We can start with food. I would say making sure you eat a ton fruits and vegetables. When you think about the body and how it works, it's necessary to have a detox. Something like a basic bowel movement every single day is a form of detoxing the body. If you are not eating foods that are high in fiber and having regular bowel movements, then all of these toxins are building up in your body and contributing to you developing some of these lifestyle diseases. So I encourage my patients and clients, consume a diet high in fiber. And it's funny because you don't know what you don't know. When I was growing up, when I thought of fiber, prunes. That's it. That's what I had. I didn't realize that there is an abundance of fiber in anything that grows off of the tree or comes out of the ground. And fiber is like the skeleton for the fruits and vegetables. So our bones kind of hold everything together in our bodies. Fiber holds everything together in plants and fruits and vegetables. And so I would encourage you to start with what you eat. Drink a lot of water. Exercise. It doesn't have to be something extremely, hardcore. You don't have to do HIIT exercises every day, but walking, making sure that you sit and figure out ways to decrease stress in your life as well. So.
Yes. As a mindfulness instructor, I a lot of times tell people to pay attention to their bodies. I became a plant-based on a plant-based diet after I experienced digestive issues. So even something as simple as digestive issues, and the doctor tells you you need to eat more fiber, take heed of that. Don't necessarily rely on having to take Prevacid for the rest of your life. Consider eating more fruits and vegetables and foods with fiber, because it can start out as a digestive issue and then morph into something more serious. So I encourage patients or clients to listen to their bodies. And even if there's something that's a whisper, hear it before it turns into a roar. And Dr. Green can tell you a little bit more about neuropathy. Can you elaborate on that and how that starts out for patients, and how they can kind of aid themselves so that it doesn't become terrible?
Absolutely. But first, I just want to comment on the last statement that you made, if that's okay.
Sure.
I suffered from GERD as well for some period of time, and I would treat it with oregano oil capsules helped, and licorice root tea helped as well. And when I changed to a whole food plant-based diet, I didn't have those problems anymore. And I could really enjoy my life and enjoy my food without that problem. So absolutely listen to the whispers, listen to the whispers. So neuropathy is looks like the sun's coming in on my lighting here. But neuropathy is people describe it as pain, burning, tingling sensations. That's more described like a sensory neuropathy. Neuropathy occurs when it's in the word nerve pathology. Either there's a problem or sickness with the nerves. Our nerves control our entire bodies. They control our movement. They control whether or not we feel pain. They control whether or not we sweat. I'm wondering if I can reposition myself here just a little bit. That's a little bit better. Yeah, they control whether or not we sweat as well. And so when you have a problem with your nerve, you can get sensations that disrupt your ability to feel. So you might have pain, tingling, burning sensations. Also, you can get GI symptoms. So one of the consequences of having type 2 diabetes, a lot of people suffer from GERD. You can also get your nerves are responsible for muscle movement, impotence, as well as a consequence of having a small fiber neuropathy. And neuropathy comes in, there's 3 different types. There's autonomic, there's sensory, and there's motor neuropathy. So like I said, our ability to feel things is sensory, our ability to move our muscles around is motor, and autonomic is our ability to kind of sweat and also digest and have those body functions that we know occur, but we don't see them moving like when we move our legs and arms.
Mm. I remember Dick Gregory used to talk about the importance of drinking water. And one thing that he shared was your body will be thirsty and you'll need to drink water, but you'll ignore it. And then eventually you won't even have thirst anymore, which is quite interesting how, your body will give you these natural signals of what to do. But if you ignore them long enough, then those signals will kind of stop firing. Have you noticed that, or does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's what happens with neuropathy, small fiber neuropathy, in the lower extremity, in the eyes, and in the kidneys. So people may notice that someone with diabetes might go blind. Eventually, the eyes stop working. They need to be on dialysis. The kidneys stop working. And then in their feet, so they get burning, tingling, pins and needle sensation. And then eventually, I tell my patients, I'm like, your nerves are fed up. They've had it up to here. they are not giving you any signals anymore, and they stop working and you don't feel anything. So if you step on a piece of glass, it could even be a piece of like uncooked rice or something that got stuck in your sock. And a lot of times people, unfortunately, they won't change their socks, they won't check their shoes. I've had patients that had small little tiny pebbles that they haven't felt in their shoe have turned into ulcerations and can contribute to limb loss. So that is absolutely correct. And I definitely agree. I love reading and listening to talks and what Dick Gregory has to say. And one of the other things that I've learned in my journey is that dehydration first happens in the brain. That's the first sign. You know, a lot of time I thought it was like dry lips or dry mouth, but it happens in the brain. And so when you notice yourself not functioning cognitively and you're not able to think, you don't need necessarily a Mountain Dew. And I'm going to admittedly say, when I was in college, that was my drink of choice. But you don't need a Mountain Dew or a cup of coffee, or you probably are just very dehydrated, and need water.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of my executive clients talk about being tired. And so one of the first steps that people may be able to do is drink water. I want you to describe the role that community has played in your life.
Oh, wow. So, community is everything. What do they say? It takes a village. They say it takes a village to raise a child. And I guess I will add to that, we are all children on some level, because we are all, our skin sheds, we get new skin. So something about us is changing, even if our mind isn't changing. And because that change is occurring, it puts us in a, I guess, kind of immature state. And we should all be about growth. Um, and so in order to do that successfully, you need community. Community, it has encouraged me and been helpful to me in helping me to refine my goals in terms of my nutrition coaching program and sticking to a plant-based lifestyle. People around you, it helps. They feed into you. The energy that's created, somebody can walk into a room and just their simple presence can bring up the energy in the room or bring it down. And so community is even helpful, from that point of view. Having like-minded people in your circle, if you're trying to pursue a goal, you definitely want to develop a community that's going to encourage you in that goal. But yeah, it takes a village. It takes a village is what I have to say to that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I always say that too. It takes a village to raise children. And being in this post COVID situation helped me realize that, yes, it takes a village for adults as well.
Mm-hmm.
Parents need that support just as much as the children need the support of
Absolutely.
community. So we are coming close to the end. Make sure you subscribe so we can continue to do this. Subscribe now. And I want Janelle to tell us a little bit more about your services and how people can reach you.
Yes. So you can reach me. You can go to my website, www.drjanelle.green.com. You can also reach me on Instagram, Dr. Janelle Green, DPM. Or you can email my happy feet. That's MYHAPI feet, FEET, at gmail.com. And the service that I provide is nutrition coaching for patients and people that are suffering from uncontrolled type 2 diabetes and painful neuropathy that really want to reverse those symptoms in their lives and prevent limb loss. And the fabulous thing about what I provide, and one of the things that I love about it most, is that when the individual makes the change, they are passing on a legacy to the people that come behind them and to their communities. And it can be infectious. When people see how happier you are, how pain has been removed from your body, they want to know how you did it. And it really is all about everybody coming together. One of the things I say on my Instagram page, I want all my people around me, everybody looking good, everybody feeling good. And so That's my goal. And I do that through coaching uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, or people with it, to prevent limb loss and painful neuropathy.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, I am an executive wellness coach, organizational consultant, and mindfulness instructor. We want to continue this community and keep it going. So join me on Mondays for Mindfulness Monday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. You can sign up on my website at www.leemapasha.com. Manifest wellness with gratitude, visualization, and community. And we'll see you next time.